adventures, and we're giving that opportunity to other people. So this kayak is an escape hatch, escape pod.
And as a Alaska bush pilot, there's many facets that you got to think about. You got to put in play, and that is survival. Because in Alaska, if you go down or you have a mishap.
I was actually scouting last weekend and I saw a group of ducks, and it was a perfect scenario to have a raft because I can unload that raft out of the back of my truck, get in the water, and get to those ducks. And I'm not having to walk all the way around a lake.
And then once we get that vetted from an engineering perspective, we talk about that with the sales and marketing team. And they're like, look, there's a great market for this, let's pursue it.
These are things that they're not on the market and you've never seen before. And why does that matter? That matters because I needed these things when I was out in the wilderness of Alaska, hundreds of miles from the nearest road, hiking trail, town, 7-Eleven. And I'm like, I wish someone would make this. And
some of the things that we identified, there were 13 in total. 2 of them are imminent, which means we are already in a patenting process for that. And there's 2 of those, 2 patents that are in that process. And then there's also 4 trademarking type activities that are going on right now. So those are for the things that we have today, right now.
The thing for us is just giving people the opportunity to experience the outdoors. And in doing so, having the right gear. So we're providing the gear aspect to this so that people can fulfill their urge to be outside of their apartment, outside of their house, or wherever they're living, because it's so refreshing to be out there.
That's why we're so excited to be able to roll them out to you. It's going to blow your mind. WildBorn's going to be holding products that are going to, take the whole outdoor industry to a whole new level.
Go to the lake down the street. Go down the river that's an hour away from you. Now you have the opportunity to do that, and you're not just sitting on the bank. You're in the water. You're doing the real thing. So that's what you get to do with WildBorn. That's what we're all about. All right, let's get into it. This is our second podcast for those of us who have been watching us. Thanks for joining us again. The amount of people that's been supporting us along the way has just been awesome to see. And if you're new, welcome. Our past podcast is on YouTube. You can still check it out. You can check out our reels on Instagram and Facebook. So our YouTube is WildBorn Gear. Instagram is WildBorn Gear. And Facebook is WildBorn. So check us out, give us a follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let's get into it. So if you missed our last podcast, just a quick recap on that. We talked about who we are, kind of what we are as a company, what it looked like to get started, how the 3 of us came together, which is a really cool story. And then today we're kind of diving into where we're headed. So there's been a lot of things that's in progress, but we really want to look at what does the design and manufacturing process look like for us so far. Really excited to take a deeper dive into our products, what we have to offer in our product line, and then talk a little bit about our culture, our mission statement, who we have involved in the company, what the steps are for that, and then what's coming up next. We're a moving target, and there's a lot of things that's in plan, but let's start with the manufacturing. Troy, you're our guy. You're the engineering side of things. How do we design our products? How do we decide what products to have? And then what does that whole process look like?
Well, we design our products as a collective group of all of the 3 of us here, and we all bring in different facets of knowledge and into our products. And it's just a matter of a collaboration between the 3 of us and already knowing what we'd like as an individual and what has been proven to work, and from the knowledge and expertise that we've all bring into it. So yeah, that's where we're at with the products. And then so each product gets, we all sit down or we collaborate, even like on our Zoom calls, and we talk about what it's going to look like, and we share pictures. We've even had summit meetings over at Rich's office and house, and we go over it, and we got, the whiteboards all set up, and we're drawing pictures like we know how to draw, but we all get the idea of it, what we're talking about. And then we bring in our CAD software member, and he's like a genius with CAD and just a brilliant individual as well. That's Keith is his name. And we just start masterminding what products we want, what represents us well, and what does the people want right now, and how to serve them best is what we're doing with that. What does that look like? Once we get an idea in mind, then we start talking and collaborating with other manufacturers and their engineers into what they bring in as far as expertise goes. And what does that mean? Well, that means that they're engineers and they look into functionality. Is it going to work? Are they going to be able to manufacture it? Is there a factory set up to manufacture what we want and what we demand, really, to have completed the way we want it done? And the reason for that is because we know what is going to work. And we don't like the word no. I hate the word no. It means try harder. If I hear no, I mean, my next words are try harder and find a way, because this is what I want.
Yep.
And I know that's how you are, Rich, and Cody, you're the same way. There's a way to do it. And so that's just how you do it. I think it was Henry Ford built the Ford truck. He was told no so many times. He just said, well, pulled up his sleeve and he says, well, find a way or you're gone. And Henry Ford found a way to make the first Ford trucks, I believe, in the world. And they told him it couldn't be done. He didn't even know how to make an engine back then. And he found people smarter than him to help him bring his ideas to life. And for everybody here that's likes to invent things, or you got these ideas in your head, that's where it is. You don't have to know everything. You don't. You got to have the idea. And really, that's the most genius part of a product or an idea, is something that comes out of your head and you bring it to life, and you don't quit, and you find people smarter than you to help you in that process. I don't know if I answered all your questions, but I kind of got off on a couple of different ones. So did you want me to get into what's my daily routine look like, and emails and talking with manufacturers around the world?
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides of it. There's the design side, and then there's the manufacturing side. So you kind of touched a little bit on both of those, but yeah, let's talk about manufacturing, because I know a lot of people have questions about where we're getting our products manufactured and how they're manufactured. And we touched on quality control in the last podcast, but what does the communication lines look like with them?
Well, first of all, here at WildBorn, we open up manufacturing, the process. It's open up around the world. We're not just going to limit ourselves to America, even though we definitely like everything to be originally in America. And America, has the option to jump in on it as well. And we just want to see who's going to be able to provide the product that's going to be reliable, resilient, and last longer than what we've all been used to seeing happening, with refrigerators and microwaves and stuff. We want something that's going to last a really long time, buy once, own forever. So we have to have manufacturers that are going to have that same mindset as we are. So what does that look like on a daily basis? And basically, you're talking about countries that when we're waking up, they're going to bed. And so many, many nights I'm up late in the end of the evening, even 10, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm talking with these people. And it's not as easy as you think, because it's all with WhatsApp and we're texting back and forth, and you're talking to sales reps, and then they're talking to their engineers, and then we started collaborating with their engineers, and it's just big collaboration going back and forth all evening long. And then I just turn the phone off, and it's like, well, they got what they need. I'll pick this up in the morning, and then they're up late at night while it's my morning time, and we continue that process into the morning. And then usually it's about a 24-hour gap between communications. So there is a time delay. If we were right there together, we can get twice as much done. But since these are overseas and different countries, then it takes twice as long to get that thought process conveyed to them. And you do have language barriers that come into play, and that can be kind of a rough deal. It was really tough early on, 10 years ago, but now with AI, instantly I can take their voice, turn it right into English, and I can have AI give me a response, tell me what they said. And in a matter of 1 minute, I can read, understand, and reply back to these wonderful people that are overseas, and collaborate so quickly, and they're doing the same thing. You don't have to have a bilinguist, on hand and up at late at night with you under, by the hour being paid. And so what that further means is we get that conveyed to those manufacturers, and then they send us a prototype, and we get to look it over. Me, Cody, and Rich get to look that over. and decide if we like it and what can we make that's better for it, and is it going to resemble WildBorn the way we want it to? And if not, then we go back to the drawing board and we tell them what needs to be changed. And it's just a cycle, and it could be several months to get that perfect, and before he ever even gets to the testing phase. And then the last of that procedure is getting it to you, the public.
So we like to throw out the word field tested. That's something that is really important to us, and you kind of just touched on it, but what does that look like for us? So we have the three of us, but we also have our pro staff group that we work with. What does the trials look like before we say, okay, this is ready to hit the market? What does it take for us to give it the go?
Well, we got to hear back from the people. We got to use it ourselves. I like to work on it and play with it hard enough to see if I can break it. And if I'm having a lot of fun trying to get that done and it's not really breaking, then I know it's got to be a pretty good product. It's kind of like going on a canoe trip. If I don't, roll the canoe over at least twice, I'm not having a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So that's what it takes to effectively test and field test these products and just go enjoy them. And then, sometimes they do break. Sometimes there are certain things, some weaknesses that you find, and that's good because we find it now before we actually send it to the consumer and get it into the stores. And we have fun doing it. And we're really getting to the point where we're going to have so much more fun doing this. And I can't even begin to tell you what we've got planned for next year in Alaska with the field test of something that's so cool. You guys are it's going to be awesome. So stick around.
We're excited for that. All right. So we talked a little bit about designing products. We were using CAD software, talking to manufacturers, prototyping, making sure that everything works the way that we want it to work and it matches the quality that we expect to have in our products. But there's one product that's pretty cool in my eyes, and I'm really excited to actually use it in Florida in the next few months, and that's our kayaks. Yeah. Rich, tell us about our kayaks.
Sure, yeah. I look at all of our products as just very innovative. We touched on it in PC1, podcast 1, right? We talked about sort of the flavor and the spirit of what WildBorn is, and these modular, portable, easy to escape products for inner city and others too. So don't need a trailer, don't need a truck, don't need a rack on a truck. You can get around with these pretty easily. So that begs the moniker I've kind of come up with that kayak, it's a kayak, don't get me wrong, but it's an escape pod is what it is. And it helps you take that widget and pack it in your trunk of your car, SUV, small SUV, and get out to where you need to be. So, you get up, you gear up, and you go, and you get out there and you enjoy what we've always enjoyed in our outdoor adventures. And we're giving that opportunity to other people. So this kayak is an escape hatch, an escape pod. And that really helps you get to where you want to be. And you might not have the wherewithal to store something in your apartment or your condo or whatever. And the spirit of this product in particular is you're able to do that and do that easily and repeatable. And so when we talk about the kayak, there's two that we've settled on, and both modular. The Kayak 10 is just short of 36 inches wide, and it's around 10 feet long. And you're like, well, Rich, that's not going to fit in my SUV. That's too long. Well, it breaks in half. The Havoc 10 breaks in half into two pieces. And those two pieces are around 40 pounds. And then that kayak is not heavy enough to need two people when it's modular. You can get that yourself. And you say, well, how is that? It's like a big boat, like half a boat. No. It's the weight of a 14-month-old baby, if you want to look at it like that. And you got those on your hip all day long, men and women, right? So you look at it like that, and it's something that's manageable. It's easy to get around. There's a host of accessories for both of these products, and I think the audience would be very excited to see what we've got planned for both of these products as they roll out in the coming months. So everyone says, well, golly, how is it made? It's a kayak. It's plastic. What's going on with this? So it's a polyethylene, which is kind of the industry standard. It is the most lightweight, durable, UV resistant product that they make. There are different kinds. There's carbon fiber. There's probably wood if you want to go ancient. You could probably have a wooden kayak if you wanted. But what we've settled on is a high density PE polyethylene mix. And what it does, the process is after the three of us vet 2 levels of prototyping, and that might mean taking a base model and augmenting that, and we run that through 2 A and B prototypes. And then A is sort of for the innovation team to look at it and say, let's dream, what could this be? Could it be a triangle? Could it be a 3-masted whatever? And in terms of kayaking. And then once we get that vetted from an engineering perspective, we talk about that with the sales and marketing team. And they're like, look, there's a great market for this. Let's pursue it. So then from there, it goes through our engineering team. They fine tune the CAD drawings just to elaborate what Troy was talking about. And then we integrate with whoever the manufacturer is. And so that's where they start working on prototypes and kind of finding, okay, this is actually what we're going to go live with. And this is the actual run that we're going to do. And they will send us a prototype back. And that's the actual product that we're going to use. So what happens is they take the CAD drawings and they look at those for a couple of things: the size, dimension, volume, and most importantly, the thickness of the skin, the thickness of what you see, the hull. And there are lots of different kinds of pricing games that they play in a crowded kayak world. And it's all based on how much of that HDPE material they use as they layer it and try to make it thicker to make it rugged and dependable and repeatable, like what we want, or they thin it up a little bit to make it cheaper. And so what we're proud to say is our kayaks are very, very well built. They don't have a propensity for big cracks from the manufacturing process. And what they do is they take the volumetric data, dimensional data from the CAD drawings, and they source and procure a very specific volume of beads, of plastic beads. And they dump this into a mold, and that mold is sealed, and it's slowly heated up and rotated, hence the word rotational molding. And that starts turning, and it's about 450 degrees, and it turns Fahrenheit, and it turns slowly for about 30 minutes or so. And it makes sure that the coating of all that liquid plastic is evenly distributed, so you have a consistent thickness throughout the entire hull. And that is super important. And then once that process is completed, that mold is opened, and then it's cooled and it's fitted from there. That's a blank color. WildBorn, we have our own custom camo colors that we have decided to use. Those are done in front of us, so they're dipped in a certain way, and then we're watching. And when we get the consistency right of the color patterns, we say go, and that's the colors that we want. So if you go to our website, wildborngear.net, you can check out on our shop, you can check out right there what we have. And it's sort of a green, very nice green sort of camo color. And then also kind of a blue, more of a Maui style color. And those have had a lot of interest. So we're excited about those things. So we have a one man, we have a 2-man kayak. One man is the Havoc 10. So when you go to buy, you got a Havoc 10. And then we also have the Havoc 15. And the difference, it's a little bit longer. And, I say that the Havoc 10, which is a 1 person, is a 2 baby weight, and the Havoc 15 is a 3 baby weight. So it's not heavy. You can manage it very easily. The tolerances when it assembles is very tight, so it's not like a loose thing, like a train, kind of clickety-clackety down the road when you get it assembled. It's very safe and secure and stable. And that's the other thing. So right now, without getting into sort of what's coming, we have 2 basic propulsion systems. One is fins, which when you use the pedals, they kind of rotate like this back and forth, and they're super cool for getting into some really shallow area. The draft on these kayaks is very, very slow, short, very skinny draft, so you can get up into some pretty tight places. And those fins, as you pump your feet and kind of propel yourself through the water, they're flexible, and they'll kind of bend a little bit, and then you can kind of get into the area like that. And then if you're looking to hook it through the bay, you've got another model which is propeller driven, and that's sort of a same sort of system that has a propeller. And so stay tuned, come back to the website, come back to this channel, because we're about to drop some very interesting new product updates soon related to propulsion options for the Havoc series. And that's the Havoc 10 1-seater, the Havoc 15 2-seater. And we can explain more about the process of rotomolding and how that works. And so you have a consistent, high quality, fairly priced, thick, well-developed and manufactured product that we are super proud of. It's easy to ship. For us, it's easy to transport for you. So gear up, and get out and use your kayaks and have fun.
Yeah, these kayaks are pretty cool. And, you look at a traditional kayak and you have to paddle the thing, but, When you're using the pedals, it's a lot easier to do for a lot of people. It's a lot less strain on your back and your arms. Using your legs is a lot easier. And I've had the opportunity to use these pedal systems before, and they're really a game changer. And I know there's a lot of different kayaks out there that have these systems, and it is a saturated market. We're not going to ignore that fact, but where we play in this game is the portability and the stability as a portable kayak. So you can count on this kayak staying together. Like Rich mentioned, it's going to stay tight together. I know that would be a big concern of mine, but I've seen this. I've seen videos of it. We have things testing that we're going to continue to do to make sure that these stay tight for you, because I know that's a big concern. But they're stable, they're portable, you have the pedal drive system, but you also get the paddle with this kayak. You're getting your paddle, you're getting your seat, and you're also getting something that we're really excited about, and that's our custom premium life jacket.
Yeah.
Troy, tell me about this life jacket.
Well, this life jacket is really special, and it's kind of near and dear to my heart. It's derived from survival in Alaska as a bush pilot. I can't tell you how many times when I was learning how to fly a float plane. I didn't even know how to fly. I knew how to fly a plane, but I wasn't certified to fly floats. And so what does that mean? That means the Federal Aviation Administration says you got to go find yourself CFI instructor to take you out and teach you how to fly floats, and he's got to sign you off. He's the master pilot. And this was early on, obviously, in my flying career. Since then, I've been flying for nearly 30 years. But early on, I was so excited. You're always excited. It's like getting keys to the car and learning how to drive the car. But my pilot, his name was Don, actually Don Lee, and he's been on television for all these Alaska shows, or some of these Alaska shows up there. But he's a super cool guy, and he's like, Troy, yeah, I'll teach you, but promise me you will always wear your life jacket. And I said, well, yeah, I can do that. And he says you do, because I lost my best friend we flipped the plane over, landing on the water, and it cartwheeled, and he didn't make it because he didn't wear a life jacket. And I said, well, okay, I promise you that for sure. And as Alaska bush pilot, there's many facets that you got to think about. You got to put in play, and that is survival. Because in Alaska, if you go down or you have a mishap, you have to survive. And part of that survival is having on your person, your inReach here, your whistle here, your matches over in this pocket. You got your knife, your Leatherman over here in this pocket. You got some fishing lures maybe down below here with some hooks and some sinkers and maybe some pretty good, extra lures and then some flares. You got to have your flints. You got to have your backup and redundancies on your person, because as a pilot, if you get injured in the event, the likelihood of you being able to move could be hindered, and you need to have it right here on your chest. You got your inReach again, where you can hit mayday, mayday, mayday right here. So what I've done is we engineered a life jacket to have all these pouches on it for safety features. So, what's that mean? Well, if you're a fisherman, you're probably going to put in a lot of fishing hooks and lures and bait, tackle, and sinkers and stuff like that. But for me, and here all of us at WildBorn, it's about being able to stay alive, being able to if you get hurt or injured, you got a safety kit maybe in one of the pockets as well. Got that whistle that we have, a WildBorn whistle that's loud as can be. You blow at your own discretion on that, because your ears are going to be not happy. It's the loudest whistle I've ever heard in my life, and we cannot wait to just introduce that to you guys. But anyhow, it's this life jacket was engineered from me as an Alaska bush pilot, and I know what I need to do, what I've had to do to stay alive in Alaska, and what you need to do to stay alive on the water. And we've incorporated that into one life jacket, and it's beautiful, it is awesome, and it will save your life, and you'll have extra lures to fish with.
That's pretty sweet. So it has the WildBorn name on it. It's pretty fancy. It's bougie for the young people like me. So we're really excited to have that included with our products. It's not an additional add-on or anything like that. We want to make sure that you're safe and you have the right equipment as you're using these kayaks and the rafts and the motors and everything that we're presenting to you. But yeah, let's talk about the rafts. Troy, you have a lot of experience with the rafts and manufacturing them and designing them. Let's go into detail about how these rafts are made, what makes them different than the other ones that are on the market.
Well, the most notably part of these rafts is that they are heat welded technology. They're not glued, and therefore the weld is stronger than the material itself. Once it's welded, it's welded. It's not going to pop ever because it's stronger than the material itself as a tandem welded piece now. And so that by itself it's light years above anything else that's glued or put together in any other way. A welded is where it's at. No matter where you get a raft from, us or someone else, make sure it's welded technology. But for us, it's huge. And for Alaska, it's about safety. It's about your way out. And in many applications or dropped hunts or even dropped adventures, your lifeline is your raft. If you put a hole in your raft, that is your way out and that is your lifeline. So we had to make sure that these weren't only structurally sound, but they were like bomb shelters. These things were going to last. They're going to get you home safe. And so we had that engineered with that. We got extra patches on the bottom of the raft, 900 to 1100 denier abrasion patches put on specific locations on the raft, basically the bottom of the tube, 1100 denier right down the middle of the raft. And over 5 years of testing these, in hard use applications, there were places that holes would develop on the bottom of the rafts, which most rafts do after 3 to 5 years of testing and using. So we put extra patches in those commonly worn areas, abrasion patches, to make it even double the strength now and abrasion resistant. And all the testing here was real world testing, 30 to 50 miles in wilderness Arctic conditions to come up with an elite rafting system that we have, both motorized and non-motorized.
So we have the Trident. That's the one that has a transom on it. You can put a motor on it. And then you also have the Recon, which is more of your kayak style raft, both portable, both inflatable, but both durable at the same time and field tested. So although we're a new company, our products are backed by a lot of field experience and they've been tested years and years and years. So we know these products work and we're excited to get them into the hands of others, especially for someone like me. We're excited to hit the ducks with this, to try it out for some duck hunting. I was actually scouting last weekend and I saw a group of ducks, and it was a perfect scenario to have a raft because I can unload that raft out of the back of my truck, get in the water, and get to those ducks. And I'm not having to walk all the way around a lake or swim to those ducks. So I'm really excited to be able to use this duck season and to see others do that as well. I know a lot of duck hunters that will be worried about it. If they're going into flooded timber, what happens if I hit a stump? Well, Troy just talked about it. These have been field tested in Alaska for years. We know it can handle it. And that's not to say we actually have it in some of our policies. Don't run with scissors, right? You still have to be careful, but that's also why we're confident in the programs that we offer. We have a warranty program that'll be coming out, and we know these products work and we can stand behind them because they've been tested. So that's for the rafts. And then kind of a game changer on that Trident raft is the ability to put a motor on it. Let's talk about the motor that we're offering. Troy, what's your experience with that? What can you expect out of this motor?
Well, when you're talking about a motor with any boat, you're talking about how well is the vessel going to draft. With the Trident and Recon both draft very shallow because we got a nearly 4-inch ripstop flooring in the bottom of it. So getting to the motor, you got to talk about, we've been testing them with 6 horsepower motors and also our 9.9 horsepower motors. And then with the idea of having about 1,800 pounds of camp gear and whatever else you can get into a raft, and have it push that vessel with enough horsepower to get it to a certain location. We, even with the 6 horsepower motors, we can get up the rivers with them. Anytime you put extra weight in any boat, it's going to slow it down. It's just the way it works. And then it's going to use more fuel. That's just how it works for any boat. But the 9.9 has been a really nice addition to the WildBorn family, and it's really pushes the raft really good. It handles the massive amount of weight that we can put in there. Basically, 2 guys, and all your gear, no problem. No matter what you're going to do, what application. And I mean, it's not something you want to go hit class 3 or class 4 rapids. And don't get me wrong. It'll handle it, but if you're going to be pushing upriver, you're going to have a fun time. Let me say that. But for normal applications or even harsh applications in Alaska, remote, log jams, sweepers coming down over these wild rivers, guys. This is wild. You don't know what you're going to see around the next bend. It's a good application. It's solid. The motors start up, they run, they're efficient because they're 4-stroke. Testing them, and we vet the motors ourselves. Cody, I remember you taking that 6-horse out here not too long ago and running the heck out of that son of a gun. And, for anybody that doesn't know about our kind of motors or how that works, the EPA requires that they have a certain amount of testing to be done on motors to be allowed in America, as well as, smog emissions and what all. The EPA that is placed on our motors is the most stringent testing program that it has to go through. Basically, let me clue you in. It's got to go 500 hours at full throttle to pass. Think about that. How many hours? 500 hours. How many days is that? I mean, just easy. If you just do some easy math, what is that, 50 days? But I mean, it's a lot of days at full throttle, nonstop. Don't shut it down, go to bed, start tomorrow. No, nonstop 500 hours. That's amazing. I can't think of any motor that can do that other than the planes or, my aircraft is, federally regulated by the federal law, and it has just about the same kind of regulations, if not more stringent than that. But that was pretty good to know that our motors have certified by EPA standards and allowed to be sold in America because of it. And I'm only touching on just the beginning of the test. I mean, that's just one test. There are multiple levels of testing that has to be done before it's even allowed in America. And our motors meet those requirements and blow them out of the water, and we love it.
And to point out something that is very critical for this application is we require the motor to be made to our specs, which means it has a very short shaft on it. So it does not stick way below the waterline, and it's the perfect size vertical length to fit our Trident boat. So that motor paired with the Trident is critical. And the other major thing that we have field trialed for years and incorporated it into the backbone of the company with the Trident platform is the way the transom is attached to the motor, to the boat. It is not a rope and some twine that's duct taped, and you're trying to put a motor on a transom that's all loosey goosey, and then it's not quite plumb, and then the lower unit's sort of sticking out, and it's pushing, and then you cavitate the raft and all the. It is not. It's embedded, welded into the actual raft components, so it's heat welded to it, so it doesn't bend, break, rip, tear anything when you fold it up to transport it to your next adventure. So you have the feeling of something that's provable and repeatable, that process is going to be there for you, and that transom is going to be very easy for you to reattach it year after year after year. 5 years in Alaska, and not any of the transoms have disassociated from the tubes or from the inner side of the raft, and that's a big deal because not all of those type vessels are like that.
I'm really glad you brought that up because, I mean, there are other rafts on the market, and they offer these kits that go on the back of these rafts. They're not made for a motor, and they got the straps, and they're cinching this down, and it's pushing against the back, and it pops up, and when the motor cranks up too hard, it's going to tilt and move around. And like you said, our transom is manufactured into the raft through heat welded technology. That was a crucial point, Rich, that you brought up. It's like any other actual structural aluminum boat or fiberglass boat with a actual transom built into it. Same with our rafts. It looks and functions the same as a transom on any other boat out there. So it's meant for the motor.
And the other thing that I appreciate is that I don't want to call a repairman that has a electrical engineering degree, and I'm paying $800 a day for him to work on a sensor or a computer module that's on an outboard motor, So these motors are, I don't want to say idiot proof, that's not fair, but they're very structured for someone out in the bush that is not going to be able to call anybody, and you could repair these yourself. There's not a lot of, electronics or computer boards or things that might not just quite line up quite right from a sensor perspective, and these motors are sold all over the world, and so we enjoy this quality and have confidence that we're not going to have trouble with folks that buy our product. And we appreciate that because that's a big deal when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you've got a sensor going down. It isn't starting until that sensor gets fixed.
I mean, you want to know what that looks like in Alaska? Let's say you get dropped off, you get on the river, you go to start your motor, it doesn't start. So what do you do now? What are you going to do now? What's that require? I mean, how do you get a motor swapped in out? Well, it requires another round trip bush flight, which is going to be no less than almost $2,500 one time to get the motor out and bring in another motor and whatever else it's going to take to get to the boat shop or wherever you're going to buy another motor for another $2,500 to $3,000 just to replace maybe something as minor as a sensor or something on that first motor. So it's a big deal in Alaska, and we cannot have any problems with ours, and we haven't. So it's been good.
Mm-hmm. It's a rugged, tried and true, non-electronic, sensor-laden outboard motor, four-stroke outboard motor that still passes a very stringent EPA exam. And so you get the best of both worlds. Bulletproof, pull start, it's going to fire for you. You don't have your battery's dead, flywheel starter, whatever is not working. This thing will crank. And if it doesn't, it's easy to troubleshoot that. And I think people would appreciate that. I know I did when we used it. So.
And I cannot wait to get some of our proprietary implementations onto that motor coming up in our next huge group of motors coming in that's going to rock the world with the motor technology that we have personally ourselves under IP protection, and it's going to be so good. Can't wait for our CAD software technician to really finalize that and we get that implemented into those motors. It's going to be wonderful.
Yep.
We stand behind these things. Obviously, Troy mentioned something that it's going to be really hard to keep my mouth shut about, but these will be tested in Alaska by us. So if we didn't trust in these motors, then we wouldn't be using these miles and miles away from any sort of civilization. So we're confident in them. We hope that you're just as confident. If you're not, talk to us about it. Call me. You can reach me at 903-879-1061. And we can talk about these motors, all the specs, everything that you get with it. And we could talk about the experience that other people have had with it. And with that, our products are live. You can order them now. We've been working really hard to update our website to wildborngear.net. .com. Be careful. It's wildborngear.net. And you can see the products that we're currently offering. Go ahead, order these products. Be the first to do it. I will warn you, I'm not just saying this because I'm the sales guy, but this is a true fact. We want to make sure that this company is working. As you know, this is a new company, so we have a limited amount of inventory. So if you want these products, you have to get in line and get in line quick because there's a lot of interest for it. It just now became live on the website, and you want to be one of the first ones because we don't have many right now. And we're not going to order more unless we know people want them, but there's been a lot of interest. So I'm thinking really in these next few weeks, it's probably going to be a while until you get another one. So get on it, get up, gear up, get out, and place your order. We'll add that to it. So wildborngear.net. Check it out. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. That's my job with WildBorn. So again, call me at 903-879-1061. Email me at cody@wildborngear.net and we'll get you set up. We also have a bulk ordering purchase program that we're starting to release. So if you are wanting to order a lot of these products, a larger quantity of them, we could talk about that and see if we could get something set up for you. But again, limited inventory, so jump on it. You can see what's on our website now, the current product line. Troy, you talked a little bit about what's coming up. Of course, we're not going to tell everyone what's happening, but just what's the general thoughts about what's coming?
You know, it's part of the process of developing businesses. It's great to have something out of the gate. You've got a sexy horse in the race and it places third or whatever, and that's great. What else you got? And I had someone actually ask me that, and it took all I could not to say, I got 13 things you don't even understand, you know? And so we have our first product innovation summit. Troy was very kind. We have someone that is a functional fit design engineer. He is a member of the Skunk Works program that we sit and we map out things that might to the common fella seem strange and like, what are you talking about? But like we mentioned, in a very crowded market, in some of the kayak world and some of the watercraft world, it's a crowded space. And so you really have to be different. And so when you have a spirit of innovation and creativity and teamwork, and you bring in the right people to talk about these things, and we do a straw man on a whiteboard and we start talking about, okay, what is it we trying to do to stay whole and true to our modular, portable for people in that inner city that just don't have that opportunity? How can we continue to add things? And so some of the things that we identified, there were 13 in total. 2 of them are imminent, which means we are already in a patenting process for that. And there's 2 of those, 2 patents that are in that process. And then there's also 4 trademarking type activities that are going on right now. So those are for the things that we have today, right now. The other products that we mentioned are whiteboard projects for Q1. And that doesn't mean we're going to release them in January the 3rd. So don't call us for January the 3rd for what's new, but they are coming. And so these things take time. We mentioned earlier, there is the engineering and the design sort of functionality. Does this make sense? Here's my idea. Back the napkin. Then we go to a prototype A, and then we go to a prototype B. Gets to prototype B. The sales guys kind of take a look at it and then vet that for a further development of a prototype for field trials. So those kind of things, you might see things related to different ways to electrify, perhaps, propel, perhaps, ways to fish better. You might find ways to experience the outdoors a little differently than you have before. And that might mean a couple things. Oh man, every time I go camping, I get wet. Hey, my backpack's too heavy. Hey, my tent's too small. Hey, what? So we have some very interesting things that are augmenting what we already have. And so then there's some things that are just mind-blowing, no one has thought of. And so that's why Troy is really excited, and we all are, because some of these ideas are I don't think have ever been invented before. So we have some of those as well.
I'm glad you said that. I mean, I guess to put this in short form is these are things that they're not on the market and you've never seen before. And why? Well, so why does that matter? That matters because I needed these things when I was out in the wilderness of Alaska, hundreds of miles from the nearest road, hiking trail, town, 7-Eleven. And I'm like, I wish someone would make this. And so drawings started coming out of my head. And then pairing up now with Rich and Cody and our CAD software genius, I can bring in what I thought I could do with CAD. Keith can just really rock it out of this world. He's a world-class CAD technician. And so it's amazing how we can bring this into a 3D atmosphere on the CAD and really dial these things in that people need. I needed them, and I never could get them. And now we collectively can bring these to you. You're going to be amazed. No one sells these. No one even knows what these are because they haven't had the problems that we've had here at WildBorn. And that's why we're so excited to be able to roll them out to you. It's going to blow your mind. WildBorn's going to be holding products that are going to, take the whole outdoor industry to a whole new level. And you're going to be just coming on WildBorn to see what we come out with next. That's going to blow your mind. It's going to be that fun just to come on and look at the website and go, I didn't think of that. That's cool. And some of these things are, if you just put your mind and get back to the basics, it's just what we've all needed from the beginning.
I mean, that's truly what we're all about. You can see our mission statement on our website, and you could kind of find out a little bit about who we represent and what our goals are. And really the big thing for us is just giving people the opportunity to experience the outdoors. And in doing so, having the right gear. So we're providing the gear aspect to this so that people can fulfill their urge to be outside of their apartment, outside of their house, or wherever they're living, because it's so refreshing to be out there. And that's a big thing for us, is to fulfill that sense and that urge to be outside and to be adventurous and to do something that maybe you haven't done before or thought you could do before. And now you can, because of the products that we're providing, the products that we're innovating. We have our customers in mind when we're doing this. It's based on experience, but it's also based on the challenges that we see out of people not being able to do these things. So that's why we're so big on portability with our modular kayaks, or thinking about the rafts, how they can be loaded in the bed of a truck or a car, and now you could go duck hunt out of them. So these are the things that we're keeping in mind as a brand and who we want to represent. We want to represent all walks of life in all living situations so that everybody has the opportunity to not just go to Alaska, like we like to mention, but go to the lake down the street, go down the river that's an hour away from you. Now you have the opportunity to do that, and you're not just sitting on the bank. You're in the water. You're doing the real thing. So that's what you get to do with WildBorn. That's what we're all about. But I think we could dive a little bit more into our culture. Culture is really big for me. I've experienced good culture, and I've also experienced bad culture. So I've seen the differences that exist. So how do we define culture as a company? Rich, this is going to you. How do we define it, and what does it look like for us?
Well, we've touched a lot about field trials. We've talked a lot about manufacturing, how things are made, and we're trying to reach for that kind of buy at once, and it's a really heavy-duty product that doesn't need repair often. And that speaks true in the motors, that speaks true in the kayaks because they're thick material, and that speaks true for our rafts. So how do you take that and go forward? And so you set goals, and you set goals to have the right people. So it starts with the people, and that's where most business owners fail. There's two reasons. One is the limitation of vetted processes, and the people process is always put at the bottom, and the financial process and the sales process are always, but it's the people process that are the most expensive thing. And so you have to be able to attract those people that are innovative and those people. So what I say is this: we don't usually rise to the level of these goals. We fail to the level or lack of our processes. And so when you think of it like that, you really have to focus on the processes. And so how do we determine what a good culture is and what a bad culture is? And so we're not all going to be Dyson, who looked at a corn silo and they determined, wow, if I did my vacuum cleaner like that, I would have the world's best vacuum cleaner. And they do. I think they're $1 billion company now based on that trip to Kansas to look at how the vacuum system works on a corn silo. So you look at Apple, and they've revolutionized the world with a few things, right? So we can't all be like that, but we can model our businesses to bring in the right people. And if you bring in the right people, your job gets a lot easier to have an environment. Usually of one of a few things is where the companies end up. You end up in a corporate hierarchical structure where you have people that are the boss, and then you have people that are like the boss's second level, third level, and then you got some managers, and you got a whole bunch of field people, and you got salespeople, and the salespeople really can't talk to the big boss because it's hierarchy. It's a hierarchy. You can't just go knock on the guy's door, right? So it's structured. The second kind of corporate culture are ones that are just strictly results driven. And I'm not saying that's bad. That is just not for everybody. Okay. And that means there's companies that it doesn't matter what you brought to the company that year. If you don't make X% growth in your little bubble of whatever you do for the company, you're gone. There's no, well, let's give you a second chance. You're just gone. And so it's a results driven thing. And that's important. No doubt. Because that's how you hold people accountable. But those are very, very strict cultures. For some people, hard to manipulate and maneuver in. The one that is near and dear to us are the cultures that are driven by innovation and creativity. And those are a little bit looser because you want people to be able to feel the need of expression and not be stymied because they have some idea that's so far out, you don't want to bring it up because it's stupid. You feel stupid, or you don't want to say something. Well, golly, that's how some of the best things have ever been invented. Not because that's the invention, but because a guy sitting across the table said, you know what? That's a great idea, but what if we did this? And what if we did that? And the next guy says, what if? And that's how these product innovation summits go. That's how it happened here on our first one. We were talking about something that I can't talk about right now. And then we started talking 3 or 4 things later, and it became this, oh my gosh, wow, that's a really good idea. I'm not sure what the sales guys are going to think quite yet, but let's flesh that out some. And there's a process to that. So culture to me is the most important thing. The most important thing. If you've got a guy at the top of the company that doesn't do MBWA, which means management by walking around. That means you have to sit with the mechanic. You need to be sitting with the bus driver. You need to be sitting with the people at the low level so you really understand what's going on, because otherwise in a hierarchical structure, a strict corporate structure, it's very filtered and you really don't get a full picture of what's going on. And so we all, as partners together on this great adventure that you've joined us to come along with us is that we are all the same blue jean wearing people, so we all have input and we all get along well. And so in our world, it's great because we've chosen correctly and we have the right people doing the right thing. We stay in our lane and then we ask for help when we need help. And it works out really great. And in my opinion, because I've done this for 30 years, this is the only way to go. No matter what you're doing, you could be making tires, doesn't matter. It's if you have that culture, because what you have to do is ask yourself this question: would I work for 20% less money to join a company when I loved to go to work? So as it relates to culture, you have to ask yourself that. And you have to ask yourself this: do I have to go to work or do I want to go to work?
Personally, I know I'm young, but I have seen both sides of that and kind of seen what works and doesn't work myself. And I could tell you right now that I enjoy the grind of WildBorn. And I actually told Rich, I think it was yesterday, how I'm weird because I love the pressure and I love the grind and I love the challenge. But if you don't have the right people beside you doing it with you, then that could be really, really exhausting. And I've been through that. And I'm excited that it's not as exhausting when I'm working with people like Troy, like Rich, like the other people that we're welcoming into the team. It's just a different game. It's a different culture. And it's really exciting to be a part of something like this, for me anyways. And I know a lot of people are ready to be a part of it too. We're starting up a pro staff program. It's a limited amount of people who will be working really closely with us when it comes to prototyping and product development, marketing, sales, all the things. They'll work as an extension of our team. And then we also have sales associates. So these sales associates will be scattered all across the nation to go talk to you, to go on adventures with you, talk about our products, how you can use them and utilize them. But that's a process that we're really excited to hit the ground running with. And we have a lot of interest in. And by the way, if you're interested in it, just because we haven't met you yet doesn't mean we can't still do that. So if you're interested in something like a sales associate role, talk to us. We can't guarantee positions, right? But we would love to hear you out, talk to you, get to know you, because we want as many people as possible involved in this process, because we know how important it is to have other people along our side. And really just in this industry, having that passion is what's going to push us forward. If you're interested in the outdoors, odds are we could at least talk with you and have some sort of conversation or relate on something. So get in touch with us. You can check out our website again, wildborngear.net. If you want to get involved, send me an email at cody@wildborngear.net. That's pretty much it for today's podcast. We've hit an hour, so we don't want to keep you on here for too long, because if we don't have some sort of time limit, then we'll go on for days, because we love this company so much and we could tell you so much that's going on in the future and who's getting involved and what's happening next. It's a never-ending thing for us. It's turned into our life and we're proud to be a part of it. But we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So that's WildBorn Gear. Follow our social media platforms on Facebook. It's WildBorn. Instagram is WildBorn Gear. Check out our website. Buy some products. And when you buy our products, be sure that you're taking pictures so that we can repost them and make you the star of the show. We want to make you famous. So send those pictures in. Let us know how you're using our products. And thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.